Two waters flow with a barrier in between, the salty sea and rivers fresh and sweet. Everything Allah commands to be will always become a reality. Everything Allah commands to be will always become a reality. Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a new episode of Contemporary Fiqh Issues. We have with us again in our studio our special guest, Sheikh Assim bin Al-Hakim. Sheikh Assim, welcome.
Jazakumullah khair.
Barakallahu feekum. Sheikh Assim is one of the well-known callers and du'at who has traveled extensively across the globe, giving lectures and da'wah to both Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Sheikh Assim, in the last few episodes we've been talking about beautification and then cosmetic surgery and the different types of cosmetic surgery. And the basic rule, from what I can gather, is that in general, changing the creation of Allah is impermissible, except with cases of deformities or defections, for example, someone who has an extra finger or missing a finger, and so on. And this actually has evidence found directly in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, such as the man who in jihad lost his nose, and the Prophet ﷺ permit him to even have a gold nose in the end, even though men are forbidden from wearing gold. What about cases where what I would consider, or what most people would consider a defection, such as someone who is obese, they cannot walk properly, they cannot sit properly? What about things like liposuction?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa man ihtada bihudah wa ba'd. Scholars say that such a procedure is permissible, providing that it is not harmful and that it does not involve exposing yourself without any legitimate cause. For example, I know a doctor who was a dentist in Saudi Arabia, and he was quite young, and he undergone this procedure, and he died because of the anesthesia. And we hear a lot of similar stories, and then you have to evaluate and weigh the advantages and disadvantages. If it's a life-threatening case, or if it is something to do with your health, and the procedure is safe, and you feel that it's gonna work, inshallah, you have more percentage in its advantage rather than in its disadvantage, then it is permissible for women. Women should do this operation because it's not of a necessity as such, generally speaking. So it is permissible to do this, or to do the stapling, or to
stapling the stomach so that people don't feel as hungry?
Yeah, or changing the direction of some of the intestines. They have a procedure where they change the direction and close some part of it, and that, it's something that is complicated, but it's an easy thing for doctors to do. If it's not harmful, if it's safe, and if it does not lead to exposing women to men, inshallah, it is permissible. But the problem is when people overreact, when they overdo it. So if a man is about 10 or 15 kilograms overweight, he says, I like to have this procedure.
When he can actually just go to the gym for a few months and lose it
or
naturally.
Or at least zip it. If he fasts.
Go on a diet.
Yes, this is our problem.
Eat healthy.
This is our problem. We want everything to come easy. So you don't want to go on a diet, you don't want to exercise, and you still want to get rid of these extra kilograms, which is definitely not going to happen except with such a procedure. And then you have to look at the procedure itself. Is it harmful or not?
Assalamu alaikum. What about the issue of, it's a very difficult issue for some Muslims to bring up because it's out of shyness and so on, but there are some people who are undergoing sexual operations where they change their gender. What is Islam's view on such issues where somebody feels, for a man, for example, who feels that he's actually a woman inside to get a sexual operation, or the opposite, a woman who feels that they should have been born a man? What does Islam say about this?
There's a difference in Islam between what is known as homosexual or gay, as they nowadays love to call them, who are actual men or actual women, but they have these tendencies, these feelings that they claim that's overwhelming to the opposite sex. This is not permissible in Islam altogether. These feelings, if a man, a normal physical man who has all the organs of a man, and he says that, and some of them were married and they have children, and someday or somewhere down the line, they just, the idea pops into their heads and say, I think I should have been a woman. And he would like to act like a woman, dress like a woman, walk like a woman, talk like a woman.
But we do see similarities with some homosexuals doing this.
This is forbidden because whoever does this is cursed by the Prophet ﷺ. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, as in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet ﷺ cursed men who imitate women and women who imitate men.
And obviously there's the bigger issue of somebody committing acts of sodomy or acts of homosexuality. But what I'm saying is there's some similarities between the man who claims that he should have been a woman and also the man who claims an attraction to the same sex, who claims an attraction to men. You find a lot of them very effeminate.
Yes, if this is only the feeling, yet the organs are clear, then this is forbidden. It is not acceptable for a woman who has a uterus, who has ovaries, who has the whole...
completely naturally a woman in every sense of the word.
But she feels like cutting short her hair and acting like a boy. This is unacceptable in Islam. It's forbidden. There's no excuse, none whatsoever.
And an operation to make her more of a man with testosterone and all these things that they do would be even worse.
Yes, this is completely under the curse of Allah. Now, there is a second part of that, and those who are born with both organs, female and male organs. So they have a name, and this name is?
I believe it's hermaphrodite, but I'm not sure.
Yes, it is. I hate pronouncing it because it's not an easy common name, hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite,
yeah, whatever. This is not a homosexual person. This is not a gay person. This is a gay with a deformity.
This is a gay...
A guy, that is. Sorry, I apologize. This is a person with a deformity.
Someone who's been formed with an extra limb, like you mentioned some people with 6 fingers.
True. So what do we do with this? What is to be done? Scholars say that they are divided into 2 sections. One, a person who has an extra part of organ that goes to the other or to the other gender, but he is fully either a man or a woman. So in this case, this has to be corrected. So whatever he is fully, so if we have a woman with a uterus, with a womb, and she has an extra organ that relates to the male gender, this has to be removed because she is actually a woman.
This is the extra part that's not shouldn't be with her.
Yes, and the same thing if it's the opposite, the other way around. Now, the other type is when you have both organs and they're fully functional, and you don't know which one the person will go to.
So they would have the male organ with the full functionality and the female organ with the full functionality?
Yeah, this is a probability, and this is possible. So one should not haste and make a decision. Scholars say that we have to wait and give it some room, some time, until it is decided. With time, what is more functional, what is the origin of this person, and then we can decide with which surgical operation to go for.
So it's not like some people imagine they give a quick decision and that's it, snip and tuck.
No. In the case of full functionality, you have to wait. You have to be patient and not be haste. In the first type, we said that no, he has the full organs of men.
So the decision's easier.
The decision is easier because he's a man. Even if he thinks otherwise, we do not go with what he thinks. We go with Allah Azza wa Jal had created him with.
Barakallahu feekum. So from what we understand of this issue, basically the two categories, and the scholars, mashallah, have actually decided that it's worth investigating, not making a quick decision and then making a mistake. So
Yes.
Islam is a religion of mercy and of tolerance and also of wisdom.
That's true, but we have to pay a great deal of attention on not mixing those who are homosexuals with those who were created with two organs or with such a deformity.
One is a desire or a mental defect.
It's an illness. It's
an illness,
that
and the
has
other
to
one's
be
actually a
corrected.
physical issue that needs to be addressed.
That's true.
Jazakallah khairan, inshallah. We'll continue, but just after we take this small break. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Everything Allah commands to be will always become a reality. Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.
The Philosophy of Islamic Law, a program for restoring belief and trust within Muslims' mind and heart, and for re-establishing a true concept about Islamic rules for others.
Always become a reality. Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Sheikh Asim, just before the break, we were discussing the issue of beautification in terms of cosmetic surgery, liposuction, and so on and so forth, and transsexuals, and taking and removing organs, and so on and so forth. What about the issue, we have the issue now of hymen restoration for women. We have, I believe, a report by a well-known doctor in Cairo, Dr. Ihab Samaha. We're going to go to the report, inshallah, and right after we'd like to hear your opinion on the issue. Barakallahu feekum.
Inshallah.
Let's go to the report, inshallah.
Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.
My name is Ihab Samaha. I'm a lecturer and a consultant of obstetric and gynecology. Today we are going to talk about the hymen, the hymenectomy, and the hymenography. The hymen is a small sheet or a thin membrane in front of the vagina, and there are about 3 or 4 types of hymen. It could be crescentic, it could be cribriform, and there are many types of the hymen. In the middle of the hymen there is a very small opening to allow the blood coming out from the uterus during menstruation. There are some congenital anomalies where the hymen is complete, and it's called imperfect hymen. Imperfect hymen can lead to what is called a cryptomenorrhea. By the age of puberty, when the girl starts to develop her menses, the blood collects in the vagina because there is no opening in the hymen, and the next month's blood recollects in the vagina, and again, and it leads at the end what is called hematocolpus and hematometra and hematosalpinx, and it can lead later on to endometriosis. And this girl should be treated by what is called a hymenectomy. We do an incision inside the hymen. It's called a cruciate incision. and we remove a small part of the hymen to allow the free flow of blood during menstruation. About the hymenorrhaphy, we actually don't have a definite medical indication for hymenorrhaphy, especially in the Arab world. Too many times we meet mothers who wants to examine the hymen of their daughters after a blunt trauma, or after falling from the bed, or after falling on a sharp object, and we usually find the hymen intact. It's very difficult to be perforated during the childhood. In cases where there is rape or fornication or regular sexual intercourse, we usually don't do hymenorrhaphy for it. There's no medical indication for hymenorrhaphy. They should be referred to a forensic medicine, and to have a certificate. If she's raped, she should have a certificate from a forensic medicine that she's raped. But we usually don't do it.
Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Sheikh Asim, we just heard the report by Dr. Ihab Samaha regarding the hymen and the restoration process and so on and so forth. But what is the Islamic viewpoint on this? Is it permissible? Is it haram ala itlaq? Is it haram in any case, in any situation?
This is one of the contemporary fiqh issues, because this was not present at maybe like 70 or 80 years ago. It's something that is quite recent. And if you look at it and analyze it, you'll find that there might be reasons to allow it. Yet there are a number of reasons to prevent it. And this is where the scholar, the faqih, comes in to draw the line. People who say that it is permissible, they're claiming that it is one of the ways to protect a woman's reputation, especially if that woman was raped, assaulted, or if she sinned. And this is quite the trend nowadays with those who have little or no faith at all. They also say that it protects the family's reputation. And by not doing this, this might affect the other women, the other girls, unmarried girls in the family. And then this would deprive them from getting a decent husband because of the mistake of that particular girl or woman who lost her virginity. In most countries, the hymen is a sign of virginity, though this is not at all true. As the doctor said, that in some cases, a girl could lose her virginity or break the hymen through carrying heavy things, through playing sports, through jumping from a high place, maybe riding a bicycle, whatever. So, or even worse, maybe through a self-exploration, as lots of the youngsters might do. This is wrong, but it does not deprive a girl from being a virgin. She is still a virgin. And the customs that we have in some Islamic countries or some Arab countries, where they think that breaking the hymen is a sign of victory on the wedding night.
Yeah, in some cultures they have this these
white
very
handkerchief
strange...
they put, and the man has to wave it out. This is un-Islamic. This is disgusting. This is degrading of a woman. This is humiliating a woman.
And it gives a bad image to Islam. People think this is from Islam. They think that Muslims are the ones doing this because of our religion.
Nothing in our religion relates to this issue at all. And the companions of the Prophet ﷺ never gave this notion any thought or idea.
It's kind of degrading also to the woman, and it's a form of lack of morality and humility.
It is also degrading to the man, because the Prophet told us ﷺ that he warned us, and he talked to his companions and said, do one of you have intimate relationship with his spouse and goes and talks to the others about it? And none of the men or women spoke. until one woman stood up and said, yes, O Prophet of Allah, they do this. And the Prophet said, ﷺ, whoever does this, whoever tells people of his intimacy with his spouse or with her spouse, is like a mule, a male mule and a female mule having intercourse in the middle of the road. It is outrageous. Islam does not promote this. Islam fights this. So what the people are doing is a sign of their ignorance. They think that breaking the hymen and what follows that, the bleeding, is a sign of the virginity of a girl. And if she does not have this, she is not a virgin.
When in fact some doctors even mention that it's not a necessity, even if the woman's hymen hasn't been broken, it's not actually a circumstance that she has to bleed.
Definitely, and some are born without it. So it is not proper for a man to have this as a sign of his wife's virginity, first of all. Second of all, we do not hold others responsible for the sins of an individual. This is forbidden in Islam. Allah says, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, that one mistake would not burden the person because of other mistakes. So it shouldn't be in this way. Therefore, those who say that it is legitimate and permissible to have this restoration done, their claims are rejected by the claims of the other party. And scholars have listed a number of reasons not to do this. And among the reasons, that imagine if a woman was divorced and she had her hymen repaired and she got married afterwards, and the second husband thought that she was a virgin, while she conceived from the first husband, then this kind of deceit would cause the lineage to mix, and we would not know who's the father of the baby. Was it the first or the second husband, who did not know that she was married before? Among the reasons they give would say that to undergo this surgery or this procedure of restoring the hymen, the doctor has to look at the most private part of a woman, and this is not permissible unless it's of a necessity.
Even if it's a female doctor?
Even if it's a female doctor, this is not permissible unless it's a life-threatening or it's a necessity. But there is no reason to do this, and it's not necessary to do this procedure here.
It's only a cultural reason that would necessitate restoring the hymen. It has nothing to do with Islamic beliefs.
This is true. The third reason, scholars say that it would encourage girls to fornicate, because this is the only thing that proves that they're playing around. And so many times we hear those with no faith, no proper Islam, complain among the girls, saying that if a boy fornicates and plays around, no one can catch him red-handed. But if a girl does this once, she is labeled with that for the rest of her life.
So we have to let them all get away with it.
This is what they are saying, which is wrong. This is a major sin that Allah punishes on the Day of Judgment those who do this without repentance.
And under an Islamic society, would actually have a public punishment if there's witnesses and if they were prosecuted accordingly.
Which is very difficult, and that did not happen at all without a confession. But the witnesses procedure shows us how Islam wants to keep things as they are and not expose people in public. But this is not our subject. Fourthly, they say that whenever you have advantages and disadvantages, if the disadvantages weigh, then it takes the ruling of the issue. And here, the disadvantage is far greater than the advantage, because the disadvantage is for the girl, but the disadvantage is for the whole society and the community as a whole. Fifthly, they say that it is permissible to remove the harm without further harm. So if a woman would like to remove the harm that took place, whether by her own choice or by a calamity that befell on her, she might or she may do this without harming others.
Well, for example, let's say a woman is in a cultural society where there still is ignorance, and she broke her hymen naturally, not through any illicit means, and she wants to restore it so that her husband doesn't blame her of illicit activities on the wedding night.
Yeah, this is one of the allegations of the first party. They say that this is recommended. But again, if it's recommended for her, this would become the trend for the whole community of doing it, and then doctors would be encouraged to do it and hide these things, and this is not good for the whole community at all.
So the society would suffer as a result.
Definitely. Sixthly, it is part of deceiving. When you restore the hymen, you're deceiving the husband, you're deceiving the others, because had they known the fact, they would not have married her. So she's not allowed to do this, and it also encourages girls to lie upon their parents when they go and do this operation, and finally it would open the door for profit for doctors to do these operations unlawfully.
Barakallahu feekum, Shaykh. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Barakallahu feekum, and please join us again next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You can try to hold back the waves, but they will always wash upon your feet. Two waters flow with a barrier in between, the salty sea and rivers fresh and sweet. Everything Allah commands to be will always become a reality. Everything Allah commands to be will always become a reality. Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala.